Today, we are cracking open a political playbook so controversial, so ruthless, that for 500 years it's been the handbook for leaders, tyrants, and yeah, even CEOs. We're talking about Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince.
All right, let's just jump right into the deep end with the biggest question of them all. For a leader, Machiavelli says this is the most critical question. And his answer, well, it's not what you'd call warm and fuzzy. It's the core dilemma of power.
You see, Machiavelli wasn't interested in how a ruler should act based on some moral code. Nope. He was only interested in one thing: what works. His guide doesn't judge lying, or breaking promises, or even violence by whether it's good or evil. It only asks, is it effective? Does it help you get power, and more importantly, keep it?
So how does this actually work in the real world? Let's put you in the driver's seat. Imagine you've just become a prince. Your first job, and it's a huge one, is to secure your new kingdom.
And this isn't some game. You've just taken over a new state. The people there, they might have totally different customs, maybe even a different language. They probably see you as an invader. And your neighbors, oh, they're watching, just waiting for you to slip up. The clock is ticking. What do you do?
Well, Machiavelli has a three-step plan. First, you either move there yourself to show everyone you're in charge, or you set up colonies of your own people to start changing the local culture. Second, you play your neighbors off each other. You make the weaker ones your allies so they owe you, and you use that alliance to keep the stronger ones in check. And third, and this is key, you have to be proactive. You crush any tiny spark of rebellion the second it appears. It's a pretty ruthless game plan for total control, right from day one.
That last point about crushing threats before they even become threats is absolutely crucial. The Romans were masters at this. When they took over Greece, they wouldn't let a single local leader gain even a little bit of extra power, not even if the guy was on their side. They knew that letting a rival get even a tiny bit stronger is the first step towards your own ruin.
Okay, so you've secured your borders, but just holding on to territory takes more than a good defense. You need the right tools to project your power. And for Machiavelli, those tools are basically force and fear.
It really all boils down to two things: a powerful military, and, when necessary, the very strategic use of cruelty. And these aren't just for defense, They're how you enforce your will and make sure nobody steps out of line.
When it comes to your army, Machiavelli is brutally pragmatic. He says, look, you've got three options. Mercenaries? Useless. They're just fighting for a paycheck. They're not going to die for you. What about allied troops from another king? Even more dangerous. Sure, they might help you win, but then you've got a foreign army sitting in your country that could easily decide to take over. So for Machiavelli, there's only one real choice: an army made of your own citizens, loyal to you.
And what about that other tool? Cruelty. Yeah, this is where Machiavelli really earns his reputation. He tells the true story of a guy named Agathocles, who started as a potter's son and became a king. How'd he do it? Simple. He invited all the rich and powerful people in the city to a banquet and then had them all killed.
It sounds just monstrous, right? But Machiavelli analyzes it coldly. He says, for cruelty to actually work, it has to be done all at once. A single, decisive, brutal strike. Why? Because a slow drip of violence just makes people hate you forever and creates instability. You have to get it over with, fast, and then let things get back to normal under your new, undisputed leadership.
So having a secure kingdom and the tools of power is one thing, but a truly great prince knows that perception is reality. You have to be a master of your own public image.
Take generosity, for instance. To get power, you might have to spend like crazy. Think Julius Caesar giving out free bread and entertainment. But once you're the one in charge, being truly generous will bankrupt you. And then what? You have to raise taxes, and everybody will hate you for it. So the trick is to be cheap in reality, but make sure you always look generous.
And that brings us right back to our very first question. Machiavelli's answer? It's much, much safer to be feared than to be loved. Love is fickle. People are loyal right up until it's better for them not to be. But fear of punishment, that's always there. The great general Hannibal held his huge, diverse army together with an iron fist, not with affection. But there's a really important line here. You want to be feared, but you must do everything you can to avoid being hated.
A prince has to be two animals at once. He has to be the lion, strong enough to scare off the wolves, but he also has to be the fox, who is clever enough to see the traps. See, the lion is strong, but he's not very smart, and the fox is smart, but he can't fight. You need the lion's strength to crush your enemies, but you need the fox's cunning to know when to lie, when to break a promise, and how to outsmart everyone. Publicly, you have to look like a good person. Privately, you do what needs to be done.
Okay,
You have your land, your tools, and your image. But what about all the things you can't control? The curveballs? This brings us to Machiavelli's final and maybe his most profound lesson.
Machiavelli believed that about half of everything that happens to us is just fortune, luck, stuff that's completely out of our hands. He compared it to a raging river. You can't stop a flood, but a smart ruler spends the dry season building dams and levees to prepare for when the waters inevitably rise. You plan for bad luck.
But the other half of life, that's all you. This is what Machiavelli called virtue. And let's be clear, this has nothing to do with being morally virtuous. Virtue is about skill, courage, ambition, and the guts to act decisively. It's about bending the world to your will and grabbing the opportunities that fortune gives you.
Ultimately, Machiavelli says that fortune favors the bold. He tells this amazing story about Pope Julius II, who wanted to capture the city of Bologna. Instead of waiting around for his allies to get ready, he just marched his army there himself. His move was so bold and so shocking that Bologna's allies just froze, did nothing, and he took the city without a fight. He saw an opening and he seized it.
So after 500 years, the prince leaves us with this really unsettling thought. If your goal is to keep the state stable and secure, do the ends justify the means? It's a playbook that says what's moral for you as a person might not be what's necessary for you as a leader. And when you look around at politics, at business, at the world today, it's a question you can see leaders wrestling with every single day.